Hey guys, David here, and I picked up a Yuneec E-Go 2 electric skateboard to explore and enjoy the city before the winter takes over. And while budget electric skateboards like mine definitely won't compete directly against premium and popular board brands from Boosted or Evolve, there's no way I can afford to spend over $1,000 on an electric skateboard today. So instead, let's look at some of the popular budget electric skateboards and what sacrifices you'll make over the premium brands. First of all, when I say budget options, I'm really talking about the $400 to $700 range, as you really won't be finding anything under that unless you're buying used or some other no-name that really hasn't been tested yet. So keep that in mind when I call these boards budget. Some of the popular models in this budget category include the Acton Blink boards, the Yuneec E-Go 1 and 2, and the Backfire boards that are commonly rebranded under various names. The main compromise you'll usually get with budget electric skateboards is the motor. On my E-Go 2, I cap out at a maximum 12 miles per hour, which is the slowest of the bunch. It's still quite fun without being too unsafe, but even for someone like me who doesn't really skateboard, there are times when I would like to go a little bit faster. And while some of the other budget options will go a little faster, you're really not going to be the fastest one out there when compared to the Boosted or Evolve boards that are available in more powerful and even dual motor options for better hill climb and acceleration. On the positive note though, since these budget boards will have less powerful motors, they'll usually be a little bit more efficient in their travel range on a single battery charge. The E-Go 2 has a quoted maximum range of 18 miles, but in the real world, where I'm going up hills and constantly stopping and going, I get closer to 12 miles out of a charge. And as the battery gets older, you're just going to get less and less out of a single charge. But even still, the E-Go 2 has plenty of range to get me where I want to go and back, so I have no complaints on that end. But on a board that has a quoted 5 or 6 miles of range, like a Blink board or even a Boosted, I could see myself running on empty a lot. Another thing to consider is weight. The E-Go 2 comes in at 15 pounds, which is average compared to the other boards. Okay for holding once in a while, but quickly becomes tiresome to carry for long periods of time. So you want a bag or avoid bringing this on commutes where you need to carry it by hand a lot. But if you do need a board to carry, the Acton Blink boards are much lighter and smaller, so they may work, but you make the sacrifice on range. And then there's the warranty and support for the product. And I think this is probably the biggest reason people are willing to pay a premium on electric skateboards right now. These products are still relatively new and have a lot of electronics that are prone to failure, from the motor to the speed controller. So keep that in mind because a great product can turn into a big paperweight pretty quickly. So you'll want to buy from somewhere you trust and has a somewhat decent warranty. But so far I haven't had any issues with my board. So those are the basic specs I look for in a board, but there's actually a lot more features I consider in an electric skateboard, but they're more of a personal preference than anything. The deck style on my E-Go 2 is a longboard with a kicktail, which makes maneuvering a little easier for me than a typical longboard. The board also supports regenerative braking, so on paths with a lot of hill, I'll get a lot more distance out of a single charge. The drivetrain on my board only supports going forward and braking, so there's no motorized reverse option here. If the device is off or out of power, there's a little bit of resistance on the wheel, but you can still push off manually easily enough without using the motor. Some boards will have the motor built into the wheel hub, but on my E-Go 2 they're externally attached to the truck so they protrude a bit, and you'll need to watch out for bumps and curves that can hit these devices, but the assembly on my board is pretty well protected to prevent damage during typical usage. And finally, while I don't recommend riding these through rain or snow, having a board with some water protection helps when the unexpected puddle appears. So in the end, there are a couple great budget options for skateboards today without too many compromises. But if you can wait, I definitely would recommend you do so, as the market's still pretty new and there's dozens of other models coming out through independent makers and Kickstarter projects that will be really interesting to see coming out in the new year. But if you can't wait, budget electric skateboards like my E-Go 2 can be a total blast to ride when the weather is still warm. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. You know what to do, and I'll see you in the next video.